Welcome to another episode of Science Bytes. Today is Thursday, April 9, 2020. No matter where you get your news, one thing is for sure. The U.S. is running out of medical supplies. How can this happen? The United States is one of the superpowers and is seemingly being crippled during this pandemic.
Everybody is looking for ventilators, everybody's looking for PPE, everybody's looking for medical staff, and everybody is looking for beds. And so that's what makes this particularly hard.
So everyone's wondering, so how can this be? How can the United States run so low? In many cases, running out of essential components in this pandemic.
It took some digging and a lot of research. For each component we are short on has its unique backstory. There's a reason why we don't have enough and why it's hard to get more.
Let's talk about what would seem to be the easiest one to solve. Face masks.
The shortage of masks was our first indicator that we would not have enough supplies for healthcare workers. Back in the day, most masks used in hospitals were made in America. That began to shift when mask manufacturers started manufacturing offshore to make them cheaper. With almost everything else, most went to China. Manufacturing abroad has a ton of benefits. Most important is the companies don't need to purchase specialized equipment. Simply have it made and shipped back to the United States. Orders for masks are pretty predictable, so businesses figured it was beneficial to move that segment of the business to where labor was cheaper.
So it was a rational decision-making on the company's part, a predictable order and delivery system that had an even flow of merchandise. It would seem we would have easily created a stockpile here in the United States.
Well, the system did make sense. Every year there is predictability when you know the rough number of people who get the flu and how many almost predictable heart attacks and regular emergencies take place on a daily basis. We have those general figures. So essentially, you know how many masks a country will need during the year. The system never considered a pandemic, especially one like the coronavirus that transmits so easily between people and quickly overwhelmed healthcare facilities. The whole system just fell apart. Now we find ourselves in a situation where the surgical masks we want are half a world away. Not only that, but most of China's manufacturing plants shut down due to the virus. Most of the transport we rely on shut down. Other countries where masks are made said they needed the masks too, so the entire system just ground to a halt.
The supply chain was not built for a pandemic that we are in right now. The problem can be solved. Companies across America are turning over equipment to making masks.
Most companies say it's going to take about a month to make the transition. It isn't easy to make this type of change. Many Americans intuitively understood the dilemma and began making masks at home and bringing them to local hospitals. This situation is so dire, these homemade masks are welcome, even though they aren't as safe as N95 masks that are needed.
Okay, we are going to take a small break. When we return, we will discuss a new blood test that now can detect cancer. Now, on our second topic, in a new study, researchers found that new blood tests detected more than 50 types of cancer, as well as their location within the body with high degree of accuracy.
The results indicate that the test, which identified some particularly dangerous cancers that lack standard approaches to screening, can play a key role in early detection of cancer. Early detection can often be critical to successful treatment. The research was led by Dana-Farber Cancer Institute and the Mayo Clinic. Developed by Grail Inc. in California, the test uses next-generation sequencing to analyze the arrangement of chemical units called methyl groups in the DNA of cancer cells.
I know methyl groups have control whether genes are active or inactive and stick to specific sections of DNA. We will tell you how this ties into the blood test.
In cancer cells, the placement of methyl groups or methylation patterns is often markedly different from that of normal cells, to the extent that abnormal methylation patterns are even more characteristic of cancer cells than genetic mutations are. When tumor cells die, their DNA, with methyl groups firmly attached, empties into the blood where it can be analyzed by the new test. In the study, the team used the test to analyze cell-free DNA. That is DNA from normal and cancerous cells that had entered the bloodstream upon the cell's death. They analyzed this in 6,689 blood samples, including 2,482 from people diagnosed with cancer and 4,207 from people without cancer. The samples from the patients with cancer represented more than 50 cancer types, including breast, gallbladder, bladder, gastric, ovarian, head and neck, lung, lymph node leukemia, multiple melanoma, and pancreatic cancer.
The team showed that more than 99% of the results correctly indicated that cancer was present.
The results show that this approach to testing cell-free DNA in blood can detect a broad range of cancer types at virtually any stage of the disease, with specificity and sensitivity approaching the level needed for population-level screening. The team says the test can be an important part of clinical trials for early cancer detecting.
Although humanity has been fighting cancer since the beginning of time, the war on cancer began with the National Cancer Act of 1971, a United States federal law. The new test may easily be the game changer we've been all looking for.
It can be. Just about everyone alive knows someone who has passed away from cancer. Anything we can do to detect these killers early may give us the leverage we need to destroy it.
Now we're going to talk about some false claims. So what do you have there, Craig?
Geez, there's so many memes and rumors flying around on social media platforms, Joe. I don't know. I guess it's hard. I guess the one that really got me this week was a Facebook meme claiming an asteroid was going to hit the Earth on April 29th.
And this is not an astronomer's data release.
No, it's not. Right now, so many people are on edge as it is, so why spread more fear and panic? On April 29, 2020, an asteroid will fly by the Earth at the very safe distance of 4 million miles. Yet many media outlets wrote headlines about this incoming asteroid that went onto social media as if it posed an immediate and catastrophic threat to the planet. It doesn't at all.
The one that got me this week was a very dangerous claim that drinking bleach will kill the coronavirus. FDA has stated, do not, I repeat, do not drink bleach.
Yeah, this is no joke. The FDA has said drinking chlorine dioxide products can lead to severe vomiting, severe diarrhea, life-threatening low blood pressure caused by dehydration, and acute liver failure, let alone the dangers of destroying your esophagus and stomach. This is not something to do.
Okay, that brings us to a close of another episode. Thanks for listening to Science Bites with Joe and Craig. We will be back again next week with a new episode. You can find all our episodes of Science Bites for free on all podcast platforms by searching Science Bites with Joe and Craig.
Joe and I are grateful to you, our listeners. So let us know how we're doing by leaving a review and giving our show a 5-star rating. This really helps to move up our rankings so more people can find us. Thanks again for listening, and we'll be back next week.